February 17th.
We're back and stronger than ever. TPI Composites is bringing jobs back to Iowa, building the future of clean energy with the power of wind. Wind powers the world. And here in Iowa, it powers growth, jobs, innovation, and opportunity for generations to come. When we build here, we fuel something bigger, a cleaner future, a stronger workforce, a legacy that will last. TPI Composites. We're back, Iowa, powering the world.
Murph and Andy, proudly presented by Ramsey Subaru and BMW of Des Moines. Live and on demand across Iowa everywhere. From the Channel Seed Studios. This is Murph and Andy. Murph and Andy, connected by cellular advantage.
It is Murph and Andy, Sports and More here on a Monday. Welcome into the Channel Seed Studios. We're at Iowa Everywhere. Alongside Andy Fales, I'm Keith Murphy. And Andy, it is cold. Feels like -9 in Des Moines right now.
Yeah, going to be a cold week.
All week.
Winter kind of came back to the table.
Woo! Man.
Yeah, that is man, single digits all the
Look
way
at the
until
lows.
all the way until Friday. So,
Goodness.
Hopefully that means everybody will be used to the cold by the time we hit our party on Friday, and everybody will be like, "All right, I got to go out. I got to
Yeah.
go out."
Yeah,
It won't
might as
keep
well.
them in, you know.
Yeah, it's -11. These are not wind chill temperatures. Actual temperatures lows this week. -11, -7, -14, -10. Then it gets balmy at just 4 degrees, and then 19 degrees on the weekend upswing. But the wind chills,
Yeah, but
will
those
be
are
-25 to
overnight
-35.
temperatures. You won't feel those. You'll be in bed.
What are you talking about?
Yeah,
We don't even leave the station till 11.
Yeah, those temperatures will hit like at 4 a.m.
Oh, that's about
way
the time I
late.
go for my jog. I'll be out going for my 2-3 mile run at that time. Already a game today on President's Day, which, reminder to some of you, it's President's Day. Don't go get your mail. It won't be there. This is still a holiday, I guess. I didn't really realize that it was until I knew that Iowa was playing number 9 Ohio State in women's basketball on Fox Sports National. I mean, this is nationally televised game. AD, is it in the books?
It is not yet. I turned it off prematurely, as I think a lot of people probably did. I was only down 2 after Lucy Olson has just had a flurry in the last couple of minutes here.
Down 1.
Down 1, 73-72. Oh man, when I mic'd up and plugged in here, it was like an 8-point game with under a minute to play.
Yeah, exactly. So I kind of turned it off to get ready for the show and focus, and I wish I hadn't, because it looks like Sid Falter just had a steal and one. So yeah, 73-72 Ohio State.
Yeah, you don't want to be somebody that bet on Ohio State -6.
No, you don't.
Jenny. Wow, 73-72, 16 seconds to go. That's a lot of points inside of a minute. We'll keep an eye on that. But now, Guesthouse Tavern and Oyster in West Des Moines sets the table for Sports and More. Coming up, NBA Mess, FAFO Canada, and SNL50. Andy, do you have SNL50 and more?
No, I figured we were going to hit that in the body of the show. I stayed up way too late trying to watch that whole thing last night. I finally had to pull the plug and make myself go to bed with about maybe 45 minutes left.
Yeah, we did the same. We got through as much of it as we could. We kind of started late on Peacock, tried to catch up and didn't get all the way to the end. I wish we had, though.
You guys are both ahead of me because I didn't get home until 12:30 and watched maybe a half hour or so of it, and then a little bit more this morning. But I'm only an hour in, but I'm in enough to see Eddie Murphy do Tracy Morgan on Black Jeopardy.
Awesome. I was laughing so hard at that. I think I was probably waking people up. There are some parts of this that are really funny. There are other parts that are not, and you just can't understand how anything isn't just total gold because they had all of those riders together, saw all those pictures. I think there's some inside jokes going on there. Some of the skits go a little too long. The Robert Goulet with the sisters, that goes way too long. It's not very funny, but
I did see that.
There are some other Steve Martin's opening monologue I thought was really funny.
A lot more like sketch oriented and like
Yes.
new sketch oriented than the 40th was. The 40th had some of those, but it was also much more of like a clip show. Didn't see nearly as many clips.
I was thinking about that because we're really in the era where you can see those clips anytime you want.
Right.
And they're probably also asking themselves, we're going to assemble all of this talent together and just make them sit and watch clips? No, you want to do some new stuff, right? That's what you got to do to hold a television audience anymore is bring them new stuff. And you had all these people. So they did bring a lot of that stuff out. And some of it was when Mike Myers comes out as Linda Richmond. Just has
I haven't made
minutes.
it that far.
Oh, it's really funny. Yeah, there's a lot of good kind of recollections, and these guys come back out. But Eddie Murphy, in my mind, is stealing the show. He does another sketch later on with Kenan Thompson. It's really
the concert on Friday night was really cool too.
Oh,
we did watch.
I gotta
all of
watch
that.
that whole
Yeah,
thing.
The best surprise for me was how good Post Malone was with Nirvana for "Smells Like Teen Spirit." They burned the place to the ground. You could see like Dave Grohl back there with this huge smile on his face.
They were all
like
just so
they're just
happy.
like, man, Post Malone is killing it in Kurt Cobain's place there. So that was a cool moment.
There's some
Eddie
music
Murphy.
There's some music in last night's show. There were four maybe. Paul Simon opens up with
Sabrina
Carpenter. Ooh,
He's old.
He can't sing anymore, and they couldn't harmonize their voices. That was rough, and it was long.
He was on the first show 50 years ago, so they're trying to cap that.
And she comes out, she's just like, I wasn't alive then, and neither were my parents. I was like, oh my God,
I know.
What are you, 15? So
that hit me too.
Yeah, but then you get Miley Cyrus and Brittany Howard together singing "Nothing Compares to You," and that I thought that was rough.
I've made it that far, and my thought was, and I know I can't remember her name, but the lady from Alabama Shakes.
Yeah. Brittany Howard. Okay. Just in that moment, though, Miley Cyrus is singing it, and it's one of those times where the other person comes in and you just wish the person singing it would have just continued, because her voice matched that song, Miley Cyrus's, so well, and then it doesn't work in my opinion. But and then
I like 4 cheese lasagna.
God, that was funny. Lil Wayne and the Roots, I thought did really well. That was good. That's the later musical.
Such a difficult show to do.
Before we move out of the setting the table, we did get to Guest House this weekend. My wife and I on Saturday night. I got the Wisconsin Old Fashioned, which comes with a pull tab card.
Oh yeah,
which is like a very Wisconsin bar thing,
Yep.
and actually won a free Wisconsin Old Fashioned. So I got to have a second one.
Nice.
Yeah, right?
Second one was
cool.
on the house.
Yes, it was. We just ended up just kind of hanging out at the bar because the vibe was good up there. We got there early to have a drink before our reservation and ended up just staying there. But we got some oysters. I didn't get great pictures of the food, mostly because we just ate it right when it came.
You got a few different renditions of oysters.
Yeah, and one of the things we like to do when we try a new restaurant is try a handful of different things, just kind of share. So we got a couple of different kinds of oysters. We got a big lobster and crab cake, which was fantastic. Pierogi, Caesar salad. We got at least one other thing, but had a great time, man. That the vibe in that place is really cool, and the service and the food was great. We loved it.
Last time you had a Wisconsin Old Fashioned, as I recall, it came with a red and white sizzle straw, or whatever you call those straws.
Yeah, exactly.
In Wisconsin, right?
Yes. In Wisconsin.
This did not look like that.
No. It was
Thank
very
goodness.
good.
It's on tap.
It's on tap.
They tap it right out of the wall.
I'm thinking about getting next time I go poutine as an app, and then poutine is my main meal. And then when they come around to ask for dessert order, I'll have some more poutine, please.
There's so much good on that menu.
Yeah,
It just looks incredible.
The menu is loaded.
It looks like
Let's
I
go,
was going to the foul line to try to tie the game with 3.6 seconds left. Lucy Olsen just got fouled, taking a shot.
Get out.
So Iowa will go to the free throw. Free throws have been tough for the Iowa women's team, especially in fourth quarters.
This
Okay,
is a
here's
remarkable comeback.
Here's some good news. Leslie joins us now on Facebook. We were having some trouble with our Facebook feed at the start of the show.
Oh, is it?
Looks
Is
like
that
she's
working
on
now?
so
Jeez.
it must be good. Yeah, that's
Okay,
tough.
that's good. 13 seconds left. Iowa with the ball, but that was a few minutes ago. This is an incredible comeback. I was watching this game and had the game is over. This is really impressive. We'll see if Iowa can get this done. Again, this would be a win over a second top 10 team because Iowa beat USC. Iowa State wasn't still in the top 10 when Iowa won that game, right?
I don't believe so.
Don't think so.
And we are headed
it's
to
tied.
overtime in
OT.
Ohio State. Yeah.
Wow.
What a
Overtime.
comeback
Well, they got to
for
win
that
this
team.
game now, right?
Jeez.
Come back
that
like
is quite the comeback.
30 points in
happening
the fourth quarter.
in real time. What do we have from Lucy Olsen? She has 23 points. She is really getting it done. Okay, now, high or low since the last show?
Presented by Wealth Charter Retirement Planning and Tax.
Wealth Charter celebrating 25 years. Tim Hawkins and company very busy right now doing everybody's taxes, tax season, but they can still certainly fit you in if you want somebody who really knows what they're doing to put all that stuff together for you. You can find them at wealthcharterretirement.com. I can't remember what I picked. I think I went high, but since then I was thinking I should have changed it to low because my kids need to go back to school. I will say that. They've had too much time away from school. And President's Day on top of that. They were off on Friday. But I think I went high because Eddie and I had a father-son day part of the day on Saturday. We went to the dog show. His sister and I went to the dog show last month. And then this is the Cyclone Country Kennel Club's dog show down at the Iowa State Fairgrounds. So Eddie and I went. He's wearing an Iowa Everywhere hat, but he was wearing it backwards. Getting a kiss there from that's a Bouvier de Flanders.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Belgian
Also
sheepdog.
looks like Ryan Day.
Yeah, yeah. So we had a really good time, and then we went to afterwards. We went to Kelly's Little Nipper, which is not an advertiser, but it's a fun place. Eddie got this great idea that he was going to get wings and the cheeseburger. He just smokes the whole plate of wings. And
They're not small servings at Kelly's.
No. They're big. And then he gets down to like his last 2 bites of the cheeseburger. And you can see there he's got the meat sweats.
Last time I was there, I left with a bottle of their house vodka. They make their own vodka there.
Why did you leave with that?
Well, they gave it to me, and I
okay.
thought it
You
was
had to
really
say
nice. Yeah, I mean, I didn't steal it.
I don't see you as going in there and being like, "Oh man, Murph, you drank so much of the house vodka. We're just going to give you a bottle to go.
Just take it with you. We'll have you picked up. It'll be safer for everybody.
They have a house vodka there.
They do.
Make your own vodka.
Yeah, make your own vodka. I'm going low here, and this is post-Valentine's Day, Saturday. We're on our way back from Lakeside Casino, and this is a photo as I'm pulled over by a state trooper
Oh.
on the
Really?
interstate.
What happened?
If you're watching on YouTube or one of the other platforms, you can see there's no feeling in the world quite like the officer's behind you for a long time and you start to have that sinking feeling like he's not going around. When I slow down, he's slowing down. I think I'm going to be pulled over, but you're not pulled over right away. So you just keep going and your anxiety heightens and you're trying to think, what have I done? I actually knew I wasn't speeding. So I didn't know what it was. Well, what it turns out to be is, these days the mail piles up here at home, and somehow I had just missed putting my registration sticker on the license plate. So the young officer pulled me over, could not have been nicer, more professional, politer, and gave me a warning. but wrote a ticket, and eventually my pulse and blood pressure came back down.
He did give you a ticket.
Warning. Gave me a warning.
Oh,
Did I say gave me a ticket?
Well, yeah,
gave me a
that's not
warning.
the same thing. Gave you a warning.
Yeah, he let me off with a warning, which was nice, and I appreciated that, because the weekend, the night before, it had gone really well. Andy, this is Jenny after blackjack. I mean, and
Which casino is this again?
this is Lakeside, so down in Osceola.
Oh.
Yeah, fancy place. The big boat on the lake the boat doesn't move.
Can you go in there and fire up a dart?
Yes,
Okay.
you can. You can vape too.
Oh, nice.
I didn't do either, but I did see people doing it. So Jenny's just
Can you
you know,
smoke a
counting
pipe?
her money. She was a boss on the blackjack table.
Wow.
And then, as we're headed back to our $90 a night room on Valentine's Day, Jenny insists on playing slots because she's feeling it. And by the time we got in the car the next morning, that money was mostly gone. So that's my low. Interact on YouTube. Email Murph_Andy at iowaeverywhere.com. On X, it is Murph_Andy. It's all powered by the Cellular Advantage, proudly representing U.S. Cellular since 1993. 35 regional locations for the Cellular Advantage. Now on a Monday, let's get the buzz.
The Buzz. Brought to you by Logier Heating and Cooling.
Check on this game. That's kind of the buzz at this point, as Iowa has had a tremendous comeback to go to overtime.
No, they're down one. Down 1 minute, 48 to go.
All right, number 9. They're at number 9, Ohio State.
I saw
this is quite a comeback.
In the final minute of regulation, Iowa outscored Ohio State 14-4.
That is incredible. I mean, they're at Ohio State. That's really impressive. All right, NBA All-Star Weekend somehow, after all the criticism, actually got much worse. Now, many of you didn't watch this or see this or review this. Andy, how much of this did you watch?
Zero.
Okay.
Zip.
AD, how much of this did
Absolutely
you
not.
watch?
I watched a little bit of like the skill stuff here and there and some highlights, but I didn't watch any of it live.
Okay, you're good with perspective, so of course you disagree or think I'm missing anything, let me know. The mini games that they played, the new format, because last year's final score was like 204 to 198. These mini games did not entertain, and no joke, there were twice as many commercial minutes as game minutes in the 4 games. LeBron James, one of the greatest players in history, waited until just before the game to announce he's not going to play, which, among other things, meant there wasn't somebody who could replace him who might have really wanted to be in that spot. So that happened. He's been widely criticized for that, and understandably. TNT's great Inside the NBA show was given a great tribute, a eulogy, a send-off. But the show is coming back next year. It's just switching networks. There was more about the tribute to this show than it was the actual All-Star game, and the show's not going away. So that didn't make a lot of sense. Kevin Hart talked more than Scott Sipker on President's Day. I mean, he kept trying, and for me, he wasn't very funny, but he just kept trying. Joke after joke after joke. Mac McClung three-peated as the NBA dunk champion. Now, he's great. He's a great dunker, and this is really cool, but Mac McClung doesn't even play for an NBA team.
Yeah, that competition is kind of painted itself into a corner.
Steph Curry won MVP, the youngest guard to ever win it, and he played for Shaq's OGs. That's the name of the team. So another trophy for Steph Curry. Meantime, the NHL fixed its All-Star Week problem. The Four Nations face-off is fantastic. I'm surprised that I watched this and found it riveting. Andy's our hockey guy. This was great. I am so glad I watched this. USA versus Canada in Montreal Saturday. If you're not familiar with the Four Nations tournament in Sweden, Finland, USA, and Canada, the Canadians loudly booed our national anthem, and that brought about, as they say, FAFO. The Kachuk brothers and JT Miller had 3 fights in 9 seconds. First 9 seconds of the game. It's one to send a message after the anthem deal. U.S. goes on to win 3-1. Nearly 5 million people watched, we already know. That is the most watched hockey game other than Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final in the past few years. So they've fixed their problem. This works.
Yeah, and the NHL has done these kinds of tournaments forever. They would have, the old Soviet team would come and play in the United States, and then they would have the World Cup and the Canada Cup and all kinds of things like this. And these have worked when you're playing for your nation. You tend to have a little bit more, you can't do them every day. But yeah, they have worked. And the NHL All-Star game was just as bad as the NBA All-Star game or all the All-Star games, the Pro Bowl, whatever. I mean, it just, people weren't interested anymore. It's in the middle of the season. Players don't want to play more. They want to rest. They want to be recognized as an all-star, but they don't want to do the all-star game. It's lost its luster for all the same reasons. But yeah, this is a good idea.
It's a good idea, and specific to the countries. Like, I think when you open it up to, it's been suggested many times, the way to fix the NBA All-Star game is the United States against the world. I think the problem with that, and there are a few problems. One of them is when you're not representing your specific country, I don't think there's the same passion like Canada, United States with the history which has been mostly dominated by Canada in these kind of events. But that's passionate pride on the line. Another problem with the NBA, if you try to fix it with this, and it's been suggested many times, you might be surprised how fast you run out of world players when you're talking about going up against the United States. Most people can name 5 off the top of their head that they could maybe.
But that doesn't matter. Look at the Olympics. I mean, these teams. America is really, it's kind of the world's villain. It is. Countries get up for playing the United States. They want to beat the Americans.
Right. We're the big dog.
Yeah. And, and we probably act like it too much, but yeah, teams want to beat us. So the Olympics, I mean, you have France and Slovakia and, certain Russian countries and that will give us a serious game. You put all those together on one team, you could have some major competition. I mean, it's always like in basketball, it's like the biggest challenge is trying to get the American players to try hard, right? To care as much as the other ones. It's not, finding enough competition for them. It's like getting them to take it seriously. America doesn't have that in hockey because we're not the dominant hockey team, hockey power in the world. Sometimes we're, like 5th. So the United States has something to prove in hockey, and in basketball, we just don't.
If things break right, and they could, we will have the championship will be a rematch of the United States versus Canada, and this time it'll be played in Boston at the Garden, TD Garden. That would be Thursday night. Anybody that hasn't watched this, if that rematch does happen, I'd urge you to watch it. It's electric. It's well, cool.
I mean, and we're reminded of what fighting does for hockey, and there are so many people that were just totally against it and wanted to get rid of it, and it has, I mean, they fight much less than they used to, but you have fireworks like that, nobody turns away. Everybody watches more closely, and then you're watching the rest of the game to see what happens. But
you just talked about this Friday about how it had made your interest wane a little bit, the removal of fighting.
Absolutely. I mean, that was one of the sideshows to hockey is you would have. I mean, I don't think that teams don't have goons anymore. And
No
and
one
those
puts
guys,
on the foil.
I mean, the guys they were on the team to serve as a bodyguard for your best player, and to keep everybody honest on the ice, and then also as a second act. There's the hockey game, and then there's the fights that come with it. And if your goon goes out there on the ice while the other team's goon is out there, everybody's just riveted because you're like, are they gonna drop the gloves? Are they gonna fight?
Right.
And then there's a little bit is premeditated and kind of takes some of it away when you realize that these guys are like, okay, everybody wants us to fight, so let's go ahead and fight. They're not really mad at each other, just fighting, but they have their own reputations to replace. But what's really fun is when, I mean, in the old days of the NHL, when somebody had a reason, and a tough guy, Keith Tkachuk, the Brady and Matthews' dad,
Right.
was a guy that was extremely skilled, but when he got pissed off, as a power forward, a big guy that could drop the gloves, I mean, he was out there and you didn't know what was going to happen because he absolutely didn't want to lose into a 5-minute major, but he may score a goal and he may drop his gloves right after the goal and fight somebody good. And he's got a history in these Canada Cup games, in the Olympics and that. So it was kind of, and those are St. Louisans, by the way, the Tkachuk brothers.
I want to party with these Tkachuk brothers, man. They
Big dudes.
They
Yeah,
were a
big guys.
blast. I
didn't win the fights, but yeah, they
I
dropped
watched
the
this
gloves.
though just out of curiosity, and I was hooked right away.
It's fighting, man. That's what it'll do for you.
Pretty cool. That is probably part of what it is. AD, you have any quick suggestion on how to fix the NBA All-Star Weekend? It feels like they need to just shut it down.
Yeah, I mean, that does feel like it. I guess I don't know that you can do that. Maybe move that midseason tournament to this time of year, and
I think that's the best idea. Move the NBA Cup to like an All-Star week
at
or
least
All-Star
like the bracket
break.
part of it. Yeah, do something like that. But nobody cares. I'm an NBA fan. I didn't care at all about this.
You can't make the money enough for these guys to care. I just don't see the money being an incentive.
No, and the gimmicky stuff just isn't going to work.
And then you had Chris Paul and Wemby out there like trying to hack the skills contest.
That was so
and
dumb.
Pissing off a bunch of bettors who had bet money, and either they weren't taking it seriously or they were joking. I don't know what they were doing, but anyway.
The problem is the frequency of this stuff. I mean, when you have to do it every year.
Yep.
These guys don't want to do that. And, they don't want to play hockey games like this every year. You have to break it up, just like the Olympics. I mean, you can't do an Olympics every year. People don't care if it's every year. You have to wait. But so in those in-between years, you got to find something else to do, right?
The NFL.
The NFL they don't have an answer.
They don't have an answer, and it doesn't seem like it matters to anyone. It doesn't seem to catch as much criticism, but I think it's because it's after, or it's like after most everybody's done. It's either, it used to be after the Super Bowl, now it's before the Super Bowl.
Yeah, everybody's looking forward to the Super Bowl, so they don't care.
There's a distraction. It's not like all eyes on this. It's like, hey, this is going on in the ramp up to the Super Bowl. If you want to watch, go ahead. But the Super Bowl's coming up Sunday.
Well, the NFL is so powerful; they can just put their sticker on just about anything, and they could put their sticker on watching grass grow, and people would be, check out what how that NFL grass is doing.
Let's see if they have
They would
logos.
watch it.
Yahoo Sports is reporting the college football playoff will expand to 14 or 16 in 2026. There's going to be a lot of arguments internally among the conferences with this because part of the plan is the Big Ten and SEC would have 4 auto bids each. The two conferences are in control of what's happening. I don't think that's a surprise. We're headed to a world quickly here, immediately, really, where Iowa's conference share is going to be double what Iowa State's conference share is, just by because one is in the Big Ten, the other is in the Big 12. So this plan and it appears like it's going to happen. It'll either be 14 or 16. 4 auto bids each, Big Ten and SEC, and then you would have one for the top at large that is aimed at the possibility of it being Notre Dame. You would have a group of 5 auto bid. If you have 14, you're going to have more first-round buys. If you go to 16, everybody plays that first week. I think I'd rather see that if we're picking between these two, although you could make the case that 12 was enough. There wasn't anybody on the outside looking in you thought had any chance to beat Ohio State.
Well, it's 2026, so we have one more year to get pissed off that we don't have enough teams in there. So it'll get everybody's will to expand cranked up as high as possible. I feel like they're going to eventually go to 16 teams. So just do it now, and then get the lumps smoothed out over a couple of years rather than going to 14. It's, just a matter of time before they go to 16. Just do that now. And let's, figure out how to do this best. I mean, we knew this was going to happen. And this is part of the problem of having no government in college football.
Yeah, no commissioner.
Yeah, these two conferences have more power than anything else. So of course they're going to believe they have 4 teams each year that belong in the playoff, and they're going to insist that they put them in.
And ESPN has quite a bit of power in all these negotiations too, because one of the things that's being considered, and I think it would be welcomed by most of us, is changing championship weekend, conference championship weekend. That would become something else, including the possibility of a conference play-in game to see who gets that 4th spot in the Big Ten or who gets that 4th spot in the SEC. That would be much better than what we have now, because like Ohio State wasn't even in the Big Ten's conference championship game. So that just didn't make sense. So something has to change there. Those games just didn't feel like they mattered very much. But the one thing that may change for the next season is rethinking the automatic buys and seedings to make those match a little bit more.
Because that clearly had
team
some
strength.
problems. Yeah.
It did. It did. Let's get a quickie poll here from WCI Pools and Spas in Ames and Urbandale.
Of these choices, which did you watch most this weekend? Was it the Four Nations Face-Off, the NBA All-Star Weekend, the Daytona 500, or none of the above?
Right now, it looks like none of the above is tracking at nearly 50%. For me, it's a big surprise. I'm more surprised than any of you. Four Nations Face-Off. I watched that the most of those 3.
I watched the most highlights of that one. Although, the Daytona 500 had a pretty good finish to it.
It did. That was just crazy.
Yeah, it stinks that it had been, delayed for a while, and they got back out there and finished it. But when they go 3 wide,
I know,
final laps of the race, that's a good finish. But
it is a good finish. At the same time, it's still, to me, it has to be frustrating that there's just this arbitrariness to this randomness to it.
Right.
Like you're on the final lap of the Daytona 500. It's taken 8 hours to get to this point with the rain delays. And William Byron is in 6th place on the final lap in the number 24 car. And a crash happens in front of him. Mm-hmm. He avoids it, keeps his car clean, and wins the Daytona 500 back-to-back. He won it last year. He wins it again this year. It, puts him in rarefied air to be a back-to-back champ. I think it's happened 5 times. But he wasn't going to run this race unless an accident happened in front of him. And it did. So, that part of it.
Yeah, you're running a good race, and then the guy next to you gets hit by the guy next to him, and he hits you. And you're not even close to the guy that messed up, and it still takes you out. That sucks. That's racing. That's the way it's always been. But
yeah, and then the interviews after those crashes are always like lessons in confirmation bias. They just go to somebody like Kurt Busch. You're like, well, the guy's going to drive like a freaking idiot try to go someplace a car doesn't belong, no hole there, tries to drive through that hole. And, somebody who's never been in a race car could tell you a car's not going to fit through that hole. So this jackass wipes 5 cars out for no reason, then other than he's a dumbass. And now I'm over here talking to you instead of winning the race, which is what I should be doing. And you go to the next driver.
That's what fans want to see. They want to see somebody make a move. Somebody try something.
They tried something, and William Byron wins the Daytona 500. You've been to a Daytona 500 down there in that huge infield.
I have, and that was one of the best experiences of my sports media career. I mean, really, it's one of those things that I was never a big fan of NASCAR, but when you go to that, it's like all of a sudden, it's like there are certain bands, right? When you would see them in concert, and all of a sudden you're like, okay, I get it.
I get it, right? Yep.
Like going to a Grateful Dead concert where you're just like, what? And then you go, and oh, okay. And it's just a different world. It's real. And it's, I mean, the people there's a lot of crazies there, but a lot of people that are really, really nice. And they kind of like the fact that you don't know too much, and they want to show you, they want to give you a tour, and they kind of want
most people are welcoming,
give you a hand up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Really welcome. I thought it was a really welcoming crowd when we were there.
I appreciate that. Some more hot topics here on a Murph and Andy Monday with sports and more. Iowa State beats Cincinnati. The men's basketball team beats Cincinnati by double digits. Video here courtesy of Mark Freund at WHO 13. The Cyclones were slotted 9th in the first top 16 reveal. They are 17-1 with Milan Momcilovic in the lineup. They're 3-4 without him. So as we said Friday, I think Iowa State can still get up to a number 2. If you're 2 or 3, I don't know how much it matters. It's going to come down to matchups. It always does, but they're back on track. That's the big takeaway here.
They are. Yeah, they've got things straightened out. They had a really good. It was just a good balanced game, a game that you felt, I think, pretty comfortable watching if you were cheering for the Cyclones. And this is what you should do with Cincinnati if you're Iowa State and you're playing at home. So that they had their lumps, man. They had a rough run there where things were spinning out, but getting Momcilovic back, I think, helped a lot. And clearly, T.J. Otzelberger has also had a hand in all of this. He was able to kind of step in and be like, okay, this is not who we are. Let's start taking care of things before we lose our opportunity here.
New AP poll out today. I didn't see it when it came out. AD, do you have where Iowa State is in the new AP poll? I know none of the women's teams are ranked. The Cyclones were 10th last week.
Iowa State
I could pull it up here.
8th, up 2 spots to 8th. Yeah.
Okay, up 2 spots to 8th. Also, the game is over in Columbus. Ohio State beats Iowa 86-78. So anybody who took Ohio State -6 or -6.5, good bet, Jenny. You ended up winning anyway.
Well done.
I mean, hypothetically.
Knew it the whole time.
Never a moment. That's a great comeback, though, for the Hawkeyes to even force that overtime. A repeat complaint, Andy. Don't mean to keep coming back to this, but watching the Cyclones Saturday, got the message up that's there most of the time you're watching ESPN. If you want to watch Iowa State and Cincinnati, go over to the ESPN Plus app. The game has started, and this game's going way over because they continue to force these games into 2-hour windows, which they don't fit. And then you get an overtime game like the one that preceded Iowa State, and Iowa State was almost to halftime by the time that Iowa State-Cincinnati game was joined in progress. And I went to the ESPN Plus app, and it wouldn't load for me. Mm-hmm. So I couldn't watch that game, and we had our ESPN Plus audio problems last week. But I suppose the networks probably don't care. I'm sure they're aware. It does not fit. It fits the women's games most of the time. It does not fit the men's game with the halves instead of quarters.
And, what's particularly aggravating is that, there's somebody at ESPN that's high up saying, well, that's good. It'll drive everybody it'll drive everybody to ESPN Plus, and we'll sell more of that. But I have a real problem with these leagues that are intentionally abandoning the audience that has gotten them this far. You know, they make things difficult and they make things difficult when they don't need to be difficult. They make things expensive when they don't need to be expensive. They take the people that they've got for granted. They should be thinking about growing their audience. They should be thinking about giving those people a real incentive. You know, the promise of more coverage
Yes.
by buying the added programming. They should not move the goalpost on them.
But what are they actually thinking about?
Well, they're actually thinking about money, but I mean,
Money.
But the money that is coming in now, the stuff that's actually paying their bills, they have to think about maintaining that too.
They can't help the greed, though. They can't help it. Like, Andy, we just talked about the college football playoff expansion. The main driver of that is greed. They want more money. Like, if they turn these conference championship games, what were conference championship games, into play-in to get in the playoff games, they're going to charge ESPN even more money. They're going to make more money. It's all about money. Money is driving all
It'll
this.
all be pay-per-view at some point. I mean, we're already doing pay-per-view basically because nobody's getting this off the air anymore. Very few people are.
And ESPN is clearly trying to get us down the runway to what's inevitable, that they're going to ESPN Plus with everything. I mean,
Right,
I don't know
but
when.
so is NBC,
how long.
and
yeah,
so
NBC
is-
with Peacock.
Yeah.
And NBC's
CBS and
programming on
Paramount.
Peacock is far better than it is on national NBC.
Yeah, that was one kind of good thing. Seeing some of the commercials in the Saturday Night Live specials, it did look like NBC actually had some interesting programming coming up on regular NBC.
Good.
Yeah,
We need it.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, and again, that's the audience that you've had, and you should be concerned about keeping that audience. But we all know that this is where it's going. It's not going to come this far and stop.
Right.
I mean, they've got us paying for TV. That used to be unthinkable. That concept used to be ridiculous.
Your
But
What's
then-
Bugging Andy on Major League Baseball last night was so good, and a lot of people are commenting on it because you did a good job with graphics and maps of showing just how ridiculous it is. And you always
that-
write well, but like when you're talking about all these things available in Chicago,
Yeah.
except
The
if you want the
Cubs,
Cubs, you have to. I mean,
Chicago
there's
Sports
a,
Network doesn't have the Cubs.
yeah, there's a catch to everything
Yeah.
where you're like, you got all this, unless you're the Brewers. Then if you're a Brewers fan, you have to go to. It's just one thing after another, and it looks like you're writing a farce when you. It's also illogical and inconvenient. You're like, who would ever set up a business plan this way? But money, follow the money.
Yeah, and you can make it sound incredibly ridiculous. And I was trying to stick to the facts, but I mean there were other things that I just didn't have time to explain. I mean the blackout stuff started in a totally different era where it did make sense. These team owners wanted people to go to the game, to watch the game. And if you look back, I was looking back at Major League Baseball attendance, what we think of as, really the heyday. Look back at the game-by-game attendance in the 1970s. Now, in my mind, every time I'm at Busch Stadium, it's sold out. That's not close to being true. The game attendance is far below what it is now. People didn't watch all those games live. They watched a lot on TV and they listened on the radio all the time. And, so they put the blackout rules in when they started, putting all of the team or all the, the teams would, sign a contract with a local provider. In St. Louis, it was KPLR, which was Channel 11. It wasn't one of the major networks. But they had all the Cardinal games, so they just raked in money and everybody watched there. But, the NFL teams would put in these blackout rules.
I remember
you have to
those.
you got to go to the game, or you can't just sit at home and watch it. These big stadiums to fill up, and you kind of understood that. But then, the broadcasts, the broadcast areas grew. They went out of the city, statewide. They went out of the state, region-wide. Then they went countrywide. I mean, think about WGN was everywhere. TBS was everywhere with the Braves. And then, but they still had these original contracts, and so the blackout rules would apply.
And 6 major league teams claimed Iowa.
Yeah, and you kind of understood that. I mean, we are this like middle ground that everybody has a bit of a stake in, and and Major League Baseball can't just go in and break these contracts. I mean, these regional sports networks have contracts with these teams. And until they run out or they go bankrupt or whatever, I mean, Major League Baseball, MLB TV really can't do that much about it. We just have to get past those contracts so they can hopefully pull them all in-house to MLB TV. But then, guess what's going to happen? You're going to pay for your teams still. You're going to have to pay for them. At least you can get the games, that's the ridiculous thing now, is that even people that want to pay for their teams can't. That's just stupid.
It's so stupid.
But, eventually Major League Baseball will have all those, and then they'll let you buy your own team season. But I don't know, by that point, they will have lost more fans.
I think the big change in my lifetime is in the early part of my life, everybody watched Major League Baseball on TV. Now,
you look at the TV ratings, it's crazy what they used to be. It's just nuts.
Now, most people under the age of 60 don't watch Major League Baseball much on TV. But like me, they still love going to the ballpark to see a game in person. Now it's kind of just this event to go to a game like you'd go to an amusement park or something. Like I go to Fenway Park or Wrigley Field or Kauffman Stadium. It's an adult amusement park to me. I have a big smile I can't wipe off my face. I love it. But those are now the only games I really watch start to finish during the regular season is when I'm actually at the ballpark. And you've seen that in the minor leagues for a long time. Most people aren't passionate about the outcome of an Iowa Cubs game, but they love going with their friends or their family or taking their kids there. Many don't even stay till the 9th inning to find out who wins the game. That's not really what it's about.
Yeah, I mean, and pitchers and catchers reported last week in spring training. I mean, it used to be this was
a big deal,
far bigger deal than it is now. And now it could almost just kind of exist in a vacuum, and then we'll just check in by opening day. And usually by opening day, we're not even ready. That's in March now, and it's in Tokyo, and there's just Major League Baseball. The problem is that it truly believes that it's doing everything right. I mean, it does. I mean, it's like, man, I was looking at their website last night, and they're talking about, the rules changes that they implemented last year to speed up the game and how well those worked. And the TV audience grew, ratings for the World Series grew, the fan engagement grew, attendance grew. I mean, all the ways they measure themselves went up, and they're comparing it to the last 5 years, which has been rough, but they still, that's a success, right? I mean, that's all they're trying to do is grow their numbers each year. And they're living in a completely different time now. Major League Baseball is never going to approach the TV ratings that it used to have back in the 80s. It will never approach that again. There are too many other options.
It's gone from a national sport to a regional sport.
Yeah, the broadcasts are too chopped up. All of that stuff. The NFL has gotten too big. All of that. College football has gotten too big. But they still can do it better than they're doing now. They can at least give people what they're willing to pay for.
The Iowa Hawkeyes led Maryland, number 25 Maryland, by 4 points at the half. That was a really impressive first half of hot shooting by the Hawks, scored more than 50 points. And if you have friends who are Hawkeye fans, you're probably getting some texts. They were flying like, man, this team just isn't giving up. This is really impressive. And it was an impressive effort, but man, talk about inevitable. That avalanche in the second half just smothered Iowa. Iowa lost by 26 after being up 4 at the half. That's rare. That's a 30-point swing.
We had that game on in the background, and it just kept getting worse every time we would check the game. As we were doing the newscast, every time we would check the game, it just got worse and worse for Iowa. And yeah, the first half, I think people are thinking, hey, we're building on something. We got maybe 2 road games in a row we get. Who knows?
It would have
Not
been
after
impressive.
that second half.
Yeah. Drake lost at home to Bradley, Sandy's alma mater. Drake lost by 2. Had a shot to tie it, a decent shot to tie it at the buzzer. Didn't go in. Drake is still 23-3, which is remarkable, all things considered. But this is an ouch. It makes it tough to get that at large.
Yeah, well, and I think realistically it was going to come down to you got to win the tournament, but I still want us to win the Missouri Valley Conference championship. I want them to win the conference. They're still up a game, but they've got to go on the road now and win. But here's the part that's deflating for Drake fans is that now all things considered. Look, we had no reason to believe that we were ever going to be in this position this year. Nowhere close to this. Bradley was going to kill us this year.
You're saying us. I like it.
Yeah, it's my school. Well, I mean, that's what Drake fans thought. But
yeah.
So you go into the season and then 5 games in, I mean, the attendance is bad, and it takes a gargantuan effort to get enough people into the seats to make that arena look full, which is humbling to have to admit. And then this past week, I think we all saw pictures of Coach McCollum and players actually going out to students and giving them pizzas to ask that they come to the game. They're on Greek Street, pictures of them at my old fraternity house, asking these players or these kids, Drake students, to please come to the game. Here's a pizza.
I thought that was really cool. I mean,
I think it is really cool, but I think it's pathetic that they have to do that. And I will say, I don't have a great leg to stand on. We didn't go to many games, but the team sucked, and they played at Vets Auditorium, which was a dump.
That's a big difference. I mean,
it's a huge difference. Now,
the
senior
people on
year, they
campus
had
could
the
just
Nap
walk
Center.
to the Nap Center.
Yeah, well, senior year, they had the Nap Center, but the team was still bad. This is a great team. What are you doing? And I've got, friends from around the country texting me, but like, what is going on there? And somebody be like, well, we didn't go to a lot of games either. Yeah, but this team was 23-2. What are you doing? It's a Sunday in February.
They're on their phones.
Iowa, freezing. Walk to the Nap Center and go see this amazing team.
Take
what
your
are you
phone
doing?
with you.
So they get everybody in there. They have a great crowd yesterday. And I was not at the game. From everything I heard from everybody else, it was the best crowd that they'd seen in years there. Electric. The students are into it, and then they lost. Bennett Sturts did not have his typical game, scored in the single digits. They just let Bradley hang around, and then they got a real good final look. Bennett Sturts dishing to Abreu, gets a real good look off the backboard, and you think that's going in, and it rims out, and that's so crushing. I mean, that crowd, they worked so hard to get in there, doesn't get to walk home with a win. Ouch.
I know. You need a hug.
Yeah. So, I mean, now they're still up a game, and, it's still a way better season than anybody expected, but what an opportunity yesterday, and they blew it.
You know who had a worse weekend and blew it even more? University of Illinois.
Oh
You're
my God.
retiring Terrence Shannon Jr.'s number. You're hanging his jersey from the rafters. You have him.
Do we have this video?
You
This-
have him
this-
pull the rope up,
This
and
is
it's upside down.
Terrence, please unveil the banner for your honor jersey that will hang from the ceiling of State Farm Center.
Oh my God!
How
is
does
like
that happen?
like a professional hit. Somebody had one job: hang the banner from the right end.
Oh my goodness!
Some student assistant, and then the backstory with him
Yep.
makes it so much worse. He's only there 2 years, which
Right.
I'm like, what? They're not retiring his jersey. Apparently, they're honoring him with putting that up there. There's a difference, I'm told. Eric the
there is a
Orange,
difference.
my-
Yeah, they're
my-
not retiring the
yeah.
number; they're just honoring his jersey. Because
Yes.
Iowa does that. Some jerseys they retire, like Caitlin Clark's, and some, like Roy Marble's, they just honor.
Yeah, so Eric the Orange, our resident angry Illini fan, is telling me that the difference here. But
Okay.
there's this history with Terrence Shannon Jr. I mean, he's accused of rape in a bar, and you know what? It's like at early in the season, mid-season. They pull him out. He misses 6 games, right? Missed 6 games or 11 games.
I don't know how many games he
think he
missed.
missed 6
he
games.
was found not guilty on all charges.
Yeah, right. And the girl made it up and had DNA from 3 other guys, not him. He's in the running for National Player of the Year at the time that he's suspended. And missing those games, it basically keeps him from being a first-team All-American. He's a third-team All-American, a consensus All-American. And if he's a consensus All-American, I guess the rule is at Illinois, you can get your jersey honored like that. So since this bogus rape fiasco happens, that's what keeps him from all of that. I mean, man,
He's gotta be
sued
thinking,
the
what-
university.
Can I
He's
catch a
pissed.
break?
It's an olive branch. He's only there 2 years. I don't know that he'd be honored anyway, but Eric the Orange said he would be because he'd be a consensus All-American, whatever. Anyway, they're going to honor him with an olive branch. And then he goes, he
This
pulls
happens.
the cord. He pulls the cord.
Yeah, he's
He's
there.
He does it. Oh, yeah, go ahead, buddy. You do the unveil. Don't hit yourself in the head with the neck hole because it's upside down.
Is this
My
better
God.
or worse than the unveiling of the Dwayne Wade statue that looked absolutely nothing like him? I think this is worse.
I don't know, man. This is
That statue is bad.
At least you can just flip a jersey.
just
a
flip it
statue.
over.
That's
but
true. Yeah.
They're doing this to honor him, to make peace with him. He's an NBA player now. They're hoping to get some money from him in the future. I'm sure that's also part of it. But they're trying to make good here, right? This is an olive branch. It's a peace
Yeah.
offering.
The branch broke.
And then it's upside down. So Eric the Orange is like, fire everybody.
Oh,
It's like,
man.
fire everybody that had anything to do with this and fire Brad Underwood. It was like, he made the Elite Eight last year. It's like, I don't care.
Yeah,
He's
I
had
think
a terrible
they
year. He's a
beat a
terrible
team
game
from
coach.
around here.
Yeah, he beat Iowa State. So he's so mad about this. And it makes the university look really bad. I mean,
Andy,
I'm
you'll
not-
like this. Here's a young man happy to catch a fish.
I caught a big one. Caught a big bad boy. I really staying in my by myself. Nobody in there. Caught a largemouth. Caught a largemouth. I think this is a largemouth that I'm catching in my own pond, in my friend pond. Yeah, I'm catching this big boy. Gonna be some good old fish to eat tonight.
All right.
That's awesome.
Confluence is the official beer of Murph and Andy. Confluence is where good things come together. They'll come together Friday at the Irish for the Fan Appreciation Iowa Everywhere Party, AKC Marketing Merch on site. It's 7 to close at the Irish. We'll all be there. There will be a Hassel there. It just won't be Chris. Don Hassel's coming, Andy. What do I need to know?
He is?
Yes.
I didn't know that. Wow. Donnie
Yes.
is going to be there. You've never met Donnie before, have you?
I have. Yeah, no, I have.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, yep. A few times.
When did you meet Donnie?
Various
was it
times over the years when he was
Here
here.
or there? Here? When he came
here.
into the studio or
Yeah.
something. Yeah, okay. Well, Donnie is he'll be great. Yeah, he'll be great. You got to keep him away from Williams' dad. Those two hate each other.
Yeah, I don't think Williams' dad is coming. I think he found
Okay.
out Don Hassel's coming, and
You don't want both of them in one room
yeah.
at the same time.
Did you see yesterday at the McLeod Center, they set an all-sports record for the wrestling match with Iowa State? UNI is in the top 5 for the first time in like 38 years, and they beat the Cyclones. Handily.
Yeah, that was a crazy crowd. It was cool.
Yeah, nearly 7,500, I think. Yeah, it was. They were really up for it. All right, now let's get some more here on a Monday.
But wait, there's more from Either Or Eatery and Patio.
Either Or Eatery and Patio, 6222 Grand Avenue, serving up fantastic food all week long. They had a great weekend with the lights on for Valentine's Day. They're moving on from there, though. Moving on to the next thing. Imagine they'll probably turn the lights green as we get close to St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah.
It is President's Day now. I don't think that are there President's Day lights? I don't think
Red, white, and blue, baby.
I guess that's kind of 4th of July, but I guess you do it President's Day. So it's a combination of Washington's birthday, which is on the 22nd, and Lincoln's birthday, which is on the 12th. Can remember us kind of commemorating both of those when I was growing up. They just jammed them together, put them on the third Monday of the month. And of course, we got to make something money related out of the holiday, as we do with all the others. So it's well known for coinciding with deep sales discounts for big ticket items such as appliances, furniture, and especially mattresses. Can't you hear it's the annual President's Day sale at Nebraska Furniture Mart?
That is what came to mind for me immediately. When you said sales, I was thinking mattresses? It is mattresses.
This is due to retailers trying to clear out their inventory and take advantage of tax season.
How often are you supposed to get a new mattress? I never think about that. You spend a third of your life on a mattress.
You should spend more on your mattress than like on your car, right? I mean, you should spend
on a mattress a lot more.
Yeah, you spend so much time on there.
State trooper never pulled me over on my mattress.
You're on that mattress just about every night. You go on vacation, you can't wait to get back to that mattress.
Yeah.
Sleep in your own bed?
How often is what's the rule of thumb? Does anybody knows it every 5 years, every 10 years?
I don't know, but ours have like grooves, like channels in them.
Yeah.
Now it needs to be replaced.
I just Googled it. It says every 7 to 10 years.
Oh, we're in trouble.
We're due. Yeah, we're due. We tried to get one of those like beds in a box, the foam mattress that I ordered. That was a Black Friday sale. I got that thing, the foam mattress. We brought it in. Oh my God, it was awful. It was way too firm.
I remember that was like a saga. Like we got updates from you over and over again as you tried to figure it out.
I returned it back
it
in a box.
Yeah, you can't stuff it back because they suck all the air out of there with some big powerful vacuum.
We got one of those for the kids in college, and it was not the convenience we were expecting.
No, so I had to haul that. Luckily, I'd kept our old mattress, and I hauled that back down, and they came and picked it up. I was like, how are they going to return this thing? They don't return it. They took it to a local women's shelter, which I thought was a nice thing. But we just went back to the old mattress. We're like, forget it. We're never buying. You got to go try out the mattress, I think. It's like buying a pair of jeans online.
Have you ever thought about going in there and just seeing how far you can take trying out the mattress there with your wife before the salesperson gets really uncomfortable?
Just ask questions like, now, is this water and stain repellent? I have accidents every now and then. Yeah. Well, we got some rubber sheets we could put on there for you, buddy. This happened overnight, man. This was a big fire.
I was still in the newsroom when the call came in for this, and they were trying to find somebody to get over there and cover the fire.
Yeah, the old Drake area Jethro's. This is back in its heyday. Here was a Pizza Hut when I was Drake's student.
Right.
But we went to this restaurant all the time. It burned to the ground last night. It is totally burned out. There's some there is some drone video on our website, WHO13. You can see. Started around 11:30. Firefighters battling flames and bitter cold. That's always tough because they got the water going on all over, and so they get hit with the spray and that freezes. So the firefighters are covered with ice, kind of ironic. Low water pressure also is a problem when the weather gets that cold. Yeah. So it has been sitting empty, I think, since COVID.
Yeah, how does a fire start if you're sitting empty?
They believe it started outside. I don't know exactly what that means, but sometimes homeless people get in there and they make like a campfire or something. And I don't know if this means they were outside or what happened, but it's been sitting. There you go. Look at this.
Oh yeah, video courtesy of WHO13. I would, as I said, I was still in the newsroom when the scanners just started going crazy, and I could tell from the overnight producers there that it was pretty bad. I didn't realize that it was the old Jeffros, and we used to go there all the time.
Yeah, all the time.
And then there was a sign up for a long time that said "Coming soon, Doc Holidays." And of course, I was excited because of my love of Tombstone. But that sign was up for, I don't know, close to a year, and then that sign was taken down. So it's like, oh, that's never happening, and now we have an empty lot.
I remember when they closed it, and then we got past COVID, and I asked Dom Einarelli, who was the executive chef at Jethro's for a long time, if they were going to reopen that location. He's like, no, we're not. It was not. I don't think it just didn't have real good kitchen setup. It was a tough. It wasn't designed to do what they had it doing. It just had a nice location.
Yeah, there were always people in there.
Yeah, I always thought that eventually somebody would just knock that building down and turn it into something else. Tomorrow, the State Fair Board is listening to a list of suitors who'd like to take over the old Steer and Stein there in the middle of the fairgrounds. Everybody wants this.
Yeah, I'll bet.
That is just a guaranteed 10-day killing that you make if you're there. The past owner had a problem paying his employees, and so they kicked him out. But everybody wants a piece of this now. Steer and Stein. It's like Boardwalk on Monopoly. Sticking with the food locations motif, a new Lachelle's Fine Foods location opening up in Highland Park, that neighborhood, next week. Lachelle's Fine Foods has done really well. Their burgers there on Ingersoll Avenue. It's always crowded.
Burgers are good.
And I think it's kind of cool that they're going over to the Highland Park neighborhood, which is, you would know that is 6th and Euclid. And really kind of that Euclid corridor between 6th and 2nd, I guess. But a really old part of Des Moines that has some really distinctive looking buildings that really kind of ran down, got really run down over the past number of decades. But the buildings still have this kind of cool character and neat bones, and they just needed enough businesses to kind of go in on refurbishing some of these buildings, and they've really kind of got that going now. There's a bunch of new restaurants and bars that are set to open in the Highland Park area this year. And I think once that happens, and there's a couple of big apartment complexes that are going up in that very neighborhood. Those should be nice new apartments. That is going to give a big shot in the arm in the area. I feel like that's going to be enough to get it up over the hump, and people will want to start going to this area because you do look for new cool places to go, and there are some really cool cocktail bars going in there, and they're really kind of making the most out of that classic architecture that's there. On this day in 1968, America adopted a universal emergency phone number for police and fire departments. They picked the numbers 911. So that's 1968. I can remember like massive campaigns to get people to use 911 in the 80s. and which is crazy that it would have started in 1968, but it took decades to get Americans to use this.
It's
to
second
accept
nature
this.
now. Man.
By 1987, only 50% of the nation, this is almost 20 years later, only 50% of the nation was using the 911 system. It took that long to get people using it. The Public Enemy comes out with the 911 as a joke tune, and that didn't help the 911 people.
Right.
But we're just now to that point, and now you don't have to dial a phone anymore.
Somebody call 911.
All right, we'll finish with this. I digress. I just throwing this in there. I made a tater tot casserole on Friday, a tater tot hot dish.
It's a casserole.
Great. Okay, so hot dish and a casserole are pretty close to the same thing. The Swedes and Norwegians in Minnesota and Wisconsin will insist it's a hot dish. But they are different. And if you've got a Northern Iowa or Minnesota or Wisconsin grandmother, you have had a hot dish forced on you more times than you can count. You've been traveling and you get to the end of your journey and there's your grandma or your great aunt or whatever. I got a hot dish for you. And what it is, my dad used to like to make fun of the hot dishes. This was my mom's family that was serving them. It was.
I think your mom is in the comments.
Oh yeah,
right
yeah.
now.
And I love a hot dish.
Just approach with caution.
She makes a good one.
Okay, good.
But my dad would always talk about how it was basically just everything that she had in the freezer, plus a can of cream of mushroom soup. Or if you really wanted to change it up, you get wild. You change it to cream of chicken soup.
Ooh, just on the wild side.
Maybe
bring this Friday night to the party.
Bring a hot dish to the party.
Bring a hot dish.
I love hot dish, and I make a mean hot dish. The tater tots take it to another level. Sometimes you just put broken up potato chips, or my family would always put these uncooked, crunchy lo mein noodles on the top, which added no flavor. But the biggest gripe that my old man had about the hot dish is it had zero seasoning.
Oh, he wanted a little seasoning,
maybe
little spice.
Salt, maybe some salt. Yeah, there was some onion, but that was it. Didn't put any garlic in it. There was no, God forbid there be any black pepper in there. Certainly wasn't anything, Worcestershire sauce or anything, but it's ground beef, frozen vegetables, onion, the cream of mushroom soup, and then top the whole thing with whatever else you got in the freezer, like tater tots or French fries. Bake that sucker, and there you got your hot dish. But I made that on Friday, and I'll tell you what, it was a huge hit with me. The kids.
It's all that matters. Hey.
The kids did not care for it that much. And
too bad, kids.
She didn't eat it.
You make enough sacrifices for the kids.
Oh, man. Tell me, that's a good-looking dish, though.
It's a good-looking dish.
Yeah. Mexican tater tot casserole, says Garen. Yeah, you can take it in any direction you want. You put some crunched up Doritos on top of it, you got your Mexican hot dish.
Daniel's making it tonight. And making it tonight. We got to go to Throwdowns here on Murph and Andy.
Throwdowns. It's Throwdowns. Backed by Heartland Tire and Auto.
Let's throw it down, powered by Heartland Tire and Auto, treating you like family in Ankeny, Waukee, Knoxville, Boone, and Creston. Murph Vanderbilt's Michaela Blake scored 55 points in a game this weekend. That is a freshman record. Juju Watkins is on pace to at least challenge Caitlin Clark's scoring record. It's going to have you look into your crystal ball here. 5 years from now, will Caitlin Clark still hold the NCAA scoring record?
I think she will. We do have to allow for something that Caitlin Clark did not take advantage of. She could have played a fifth season because of COVID. Like Ashley Jones played 5 full seasons at Iowa State. There are a lot of players out there. Kate Martin played part of 6 seasons. So not knowing how that's going to continue, or if the NCAA is going to keep allowing waivers for 5, 6, 7 year careers, that could change things. But as they stand now, I don't think Juju, who is a spectacular player and scored 38 points last week against the number one team in America, I don't think she'll get there either. She is on that pace right now, but I think some people forget not only did Caitlin Clark's scoring average go way up her junior and senior year, she played all the way to the championship game in her final 2 years. That gives you another 100 to 150 points when you play that far. So I think it'll still be her.
Yeah, all really good points. I can't add a whole lot to that, but I think you could also say that, you know, the more the game continues to grow in the WNBA and the more sponsorships and their dollars that are out there, the more appealing it becomes to college players to leave a year early and go to the WNBA, which was unthinkable. Probably not unthinkable anymore.
And they have some weird rule, right, where it's like you
age
have to
requirements.
turn 22 the year of the draft. And so
Caitlin could
didn't
not
have
go
the-
after her
yeah.
junior year. She had to play her senior year.
And I'm not sure where
they
Juju
could
or some of
change
these
that.
other players,
Absolutely,
right?
they could change that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they could change it.
Well, guys, one of the reasons we could have a quickie poll about what sporting event you watched this weekend is because it was the first weekend without football since August. Andy, did you enjoy a break from America's favorite sport?
I didn't think about it. You know, I mean, I'm ready for the football off season. I'm ready to recharge. It didn't really hit me. I can't say that I enjoyed it because I didn't miss it.
Yeah, I didn't really miss it yet either. I feel like I would watch the NFL or college football year round, but I'm sure like most things you think you can't get enough, but when you don't go without it for a while, you don't appreciate when it returns. So I think it's good we have a break.
All right, Murph, last night was SNL's 50th anniversary show. Who was your favorite SNL cast member of all time?
I did this for Who's in Your Five last night on Sound Off, and it's Eddie Murphy. I rank Eddie Murphy number one. I had Will Ferrell at 2.
Yeah.
I had Dan Aykroyd at 3, which a lot of people watching or listening now don't realize how brilliant he was, and he was just a great utility player. I like Chris Farley. I have in my top 5, and then the one that is probably not in a lot of top 5s is Maya Rudolph, because when she would do something funny, she can make me roll out of my chair laughing at times. Like her take on the divas who sing the national anthem and make the song about their own voice instead of their country. I mean, she just nailed that, and it was so funny. Or when she played Beyonce eating hot wings, and she's just a very funny person. So she might be the out of the box choice for me. The others are somewhat predictable, but there's a lot of cast members.
Kristen Wiig is my favorite female cast member ever. And she was really funny last night too.
She's still funny. She's great.
She's incredible. Eddie Murphy is my favorite. And Will Ferrell is in the top 5. Bill Hader is in the top 5. There've been so many over the years and you know, so many that were just incredible on Saturday Night Live, and then they didn't go off to do something else that was nearly as good. But Kenan Thompson is he's a great performer also.
Oh, yeah.
Really
Phil Hartman
funny.
and Dana Carvey, both underrated.
Phil Hartman. Oh my God, he was so funny. Yeah, all of those guys. It's been the greatest show in the history of television. It's been the most consistent show in the history of television. I mean, 50 years.
50 years is incredible. I mean, it's had some real down years, but
but
they
not
keep
for
coming
long.
back.
Yeah, they bounce right back.
Yeah, shout out to Andy Samberg as well. He's like his style of comedy just hits me exactly where it itches, and it's hard for me to unravel like my love for Adam Sandler movies and comedy albums as a kid and his time on SNL. I feel like his SNL stuff gets overinflated a bit because of everything he's done since then. But yeah, so those are a couple other ones.
I haven't made it to his 50-year song yet, but I know it got a standing ovation from all those celebrities, so it must be really good.
Yeah, not
it's
as
a good
emotional
one.
as the Farley one, but yeah, definitely good.
It's really, really, really good. I was impressed at how much he fit into that song. Holy smokes.
Yeah.
He was able to sing that whole thing.
Haven't heard it yet.
amazing.
We'll check it out tonight. Grimaldi's fan photos. Send your fan photos to Murph_Andy at Iowa everywhere. It's presented by Grimaldi's Coal Brick Oven Pizzeria in West Des Moines and District at Prairie Trail in Ankeny. AD, who do we have here?
Yeah, this is actually Sean Hyman today. He sent us this. He said it's a cold day. The kids didn't have school. We went to the Ankeny
nice.
Grimaldi's for the first time, so he wanted us to see this picture. This is as they were waiting for their pizza, so I'm sure we'll get his rave reviews coming up. But yeah, send us your photos at Murph_Andy on Twitter or Murph_Andy at iowaeverywhere.com.
It is time for the Ender Downs audio drop of the day. We call it the AD Squared.
Yeah, and it's powered by Game Day Men's Health. I go there each and every week to the Ankeny location in Prairie Trail. You can go to University in West Des Moines or North Liberty if you're on the eastern side of the state. A little parental advisory is necessary here. The Philadelphia Eagles parade was last week, and we talked a little bit about it. Saw Cooper DeJean.
Yeah,
shot
Mom,
in
you
a
can
beer
drop
and-
off there if you want. You go
Yeah,
ahead and,
well,
No, she's chiming in with Gilda Radner.
yeah, I
at
said
this
Gilda
point.
Radner is her favorite. Yeah,
Good
Gilda
for her.
Radner's just so funny.
The Philadelphia news stations obviously try to carry these things. It's a big deal in Philadelphia.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
The Eagles won the
Yeah.
Super Bowl. And most of them just kind of let it go from what I can tell. But Fox 29 in Philadelphia tried to warn their viewers about the profanity. And, man, it was a struggle.
I'm a fucking champion.
We apologize. Of course, we're on live TV, and we apologize for the profanity.
You guys are tough, you guys are resilient, and you guys know how to fucking fight.
And we apologize again for Saquon Barkley's profanity. Again, live TV.
This city overcomes shit.
And we apologize again for the profanity.
Every fucking game.
And we apologize for the profanity. Back to Landon Dickerson.
After 22 feeling that loss, I didn't ever want to feel that shit again.
Sorry about
we
that, Landon Dickerson talking about the loss. It's live TV. The emotion is there. Back to Landon.
Oh, he's got more.
I got one last thing to say. Go fuck.
We cut that one off, but if you heard any of that, we apologize. Go Birds is what he said.
When I came to Philly, I was lost as a motherfucker. Shout out to
And we
guys, shout out to
apologize for
Jeffrey.
CJ Gardner-Johnson's
And
language.
we apologize.
It goes on and on. You would think they could just do a blanket apology right at the start.
Yeah, and
or at
it's,
the end. But to
This
try to
is
cut it off
Philadelphia,
each time.
this-
yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
this is-
I do not miss that at all about the radio show. Just that outdated system of
Yeah.
FCC rules that were made so long ago
kids,
and don't
yeah.
reflect the society. Jeez. Thank you. Oh, we have the Quickie Poll results. Thank you for voting in the Quickie Poll, if you did.
Of these choices, which did you watch most this weekend? The Four Nations Face-Off, NBA's All-Star Weekend, the Daytona 500, or none of the above? None of the above. Running away with this one at 48%. Good for hockey. 26% say the Four Nations Face-Off, 22% the Daytona 500. Wow, the NBA All-Star Weekend at a rousing 4% of the
That is rough. I think
They
the
need to do
ratings are going to
something.
reflect that, too. We'll see. They tried to make it better.
Something.
They made it worse. Thank you for being part of Murph and Andy here, supporting local media on Iowa Everywhere. We'd love it if you like and subscribe there at the bottom of your screen or on whatever platform you are watching or listening. We are back Wednesday. Reminder for the party on Friday, but first the show Wednesday, and we hope you'll join us then.